This is the best of the rest for Heat Week 2023. So we did this Mapo tofu dish. I started with some ground beef. I threw down some spicy Sichuan seasoning, some chile de árbol, some gochugaru, some black bean paste, and just kind of mixed it all up. And at that point, I tasted it, needed a little bit more spice, so I added some more red chilies, and then I added some more seasoning too, and I added a bunch of beef fat. And after that, we cubed up some soft tofu and kind of mixed it into each of the containers as well. And then we put it on the smoker to heat up. So this was a Heat Week dish, not necessarily super traditionally spicy, but it was really tingly and had a lot of flavor. This was a really good version of this dish, as you can see on the smoker right here. Had a couple pans for service that day. We just did a little bit of white rice and then scooped this kind of over the top. It was pretty good. Semi-traditional Mapo tofu, not really made in a wok or anything, but made on the smoker because we're a barbecue restaurant. Or food truck. We'll be a restaurant soon. So go just a little bit of rice in the boat, and then we scooped some of the Mapo on top. Mapo tofu is one of my favorite dishes, favorite Sichuan dishes. It's got a little bit of meat in it. It's mostly tofu and kind of this like oil kind of based. It's really tingly, it's really spicy, it's really flavorful. There's just so much going on in this dish, and I was really happy. People were saying that this should just be a side on our menu like all the time, which I think would be really interesting to have something like this as just a side dish. You know, I don't think a lot of people would order it that often, but it would be interesting to have a side of Mapo tofu on a plate with like brisket and potato salad. I think that'd be pretty awesome. Okay, going on with a little extra of the Sichuan spice, and then just a little bit of sesame seeds, and then we did a little bit of scallions, and that is the Mapo tofu dish for 2023. We're also going to go over in this video the hot biscuit, the shrimp, and the hot tamal, and I will let Chris and Will from Briscuits take it over from here.
Hey, I'm Christopher McGee. I'm Will Spence. We're from Briscuits here in Austin at Radio Coffee. We did a collab with Leroy and Lewis of the Tabasco Biscuit for today's Heat Week special. We have always been fans of Tabasco, and they have this Tabasco pulp that they get from the barrels after aging the sauce for years. We've used it today to make a biscuit. We folded it in with our regular buttermilk biscuit recipe, and we've also made a jelly that we'll tell you about.
Got a habanero Thai chili pepper jelly to go on top.
I'm going to say it's at least a 9. It's up there, but it's you can handle it.
The sugar from the jelly helps balance it a little bit, but you still get a good heat in the back.
I've been to Heat Week a few times. I think the hottest one was the Chud's Chicken. It was the first or second year, but only because Brad thought it was funny to put all the hot sauce on mine. Thanks a lot, Brad.
Christopher and myself and Brad all worked together at Friedman's back in the day, so we like kind of ribbing each other a little bit like that. But look at these delicious, beautiful golden brown biscuits. Oh my god, these things were so spicy. The Tabasco mash gave them a nice little tanginess too, great pepper flavor in them, and they packed a punch. Speaking of packing a punch, this habanero Thai chili jelly was probably one of the most delicious and one of the spiciest things I've ever eaten in my life. I don't know how they make such good jellies there, but the strawberry, the apple, like every single thing they do there is awesome. The grape jelly they do, it's all super good. Of course, when I went to go pick up the biscuits and the jelly from Briscuits that day, I had to try a little bit, and this thing absolutely ripped me up, tore me apart. Okay, time to build up the biscuit over here. We did some hot hog. They did the biscuit and the jelly, and we're just going to build all this thing together, give the biscuit a little toast. They had their own little section on the griddle that day, so everything didn't get super spicy after we put the biscuit down, and then maybe like a burger bun after that. So went pretty heavy on this jelly on our little biscuit sandwich there. We did like 2 kind of big old scoops. We really want all that pepper flavor in there. We want all that heat in there. It is heat week after all. We don't want to hold back on the spice level. Something about the way that jelly just sticks to everything, like on your mouth, and just gets everywhere, really just spreads that heat around. This is some of our just normal pulled hog with a pepper mash mixed in it. So habaneros and serranos ground up, mixed in our pulled whole hog, and we just threw it on top of a biscuit and put that little pepper jelly on it. It was really, really tasty. This is something I could see us doing again, collaborating again with Briscuits. Probably not this spicy again, but I would do a pepper jelly and hog biscuit with them any day of the week, anytime. Their food is awesome. Go check them out, Briscuits at Radio Coffee. Moving on to Saturday's dish was a smoked peel and eat shrimp. So I have these Gulf shrimp. They are getting a little spice rub on them. This is a pretty standard barbecue rub with salt, pepper, cayenne, garlic, paprika, cumin, but I also added a bunch of crushed red pepper, a lot more cayenne, some habanero powder just to make it all nice and spicy. So we're going a real heavy spice coating on these shrimp, and then I'm going to lay them out on a roasting rack over a sheet tray like that, and then I put that whole setup, including the sheet tray, in the smoker. And then I made this mash. It was the habanero and serranos, also mixed in some sambal. Balanced it with a little bit of sugar and vinegar, and those are the smoked shrimp after they've been cooked off. They were really, really tasty. Just wanted to smoke them for a little bit to just get them cooked, and then they're going to marinate in this kind of sauce mash thing and just get super, super spicy all the way through. And I prepared these the day before, so they got to sit in that kind of mash overnight, and they just absorbed all that heat and all that flavor. There was also some fresh garlic in there, some ground up scallions. So there was a lot of flavor going on in there, a lot of spice, a lot of seasoning, and the shrimp absorbed all of it. And here they are plated up in a little boat with some of that sauce. We threw little crackers down on the side too, just to help you soak up all that extra seasoning. And this was one of my favorites of the week. Last but not least, we are making some spicy birria tamales. So I started with this broth, did some beef shanks, did some beef neck bones, some onions, some habaneros and serranos, and let that stock cook for a little while. Also had some chile de arbol in there. Making the masa here now, made it nice and spicy. Started with some dry masa, added a bunch of spices to it, added some beef bouillon to it, added a bunch of beef fat to it. Then we're going to add in that same mash we've been working with all week, the serranos, the habaneros, to make that masa really, really spicy. A little bit of extra water just to make sure everything mixes up nicely. And then it is on to tamale making. I've been wanting to make this dish for years for Heat Week, and I'm glad we finally did it. The spicy broth, the spicy masa, the barbacoa also has that habanero serrano mash in it, in addition to some extra cayenne, some sambal. So this dish turned out fantastic. I steamed them up like any normal tamal, and they were really, really tasty. Here's that finished dipping broth. Here is the tamal being unwrapped. And it is nice and glistening and beautiful, like a good tamal should be. I'm just going to plate this baby up right now. You can see the little pieces of serrano and habanero in there. And then once you get a bite with all of the masa, the meat, and then the dipping broth, it was just so spicy, so good. I think the consensus was that the biscuit was the best tasting and I think the spiciest. My favorite, I think, was the shrimp, followed closely by the tamal, and then very closely by the biscuit. The biscuit was out of this world. Incursion of Flames hot sauce and Laroy's, I think, still available on our website, so go check that out. Buy them up while you can. And we will see you next summer, for Heat Week 2024. Stay spicy, my friends. How's the heat?
It's hot today.
It's real hot. I gotta go.
1 to 10 scale.
Oh, 9.1.
I was gonna say like 7, but it's hot. It's hot.
Yeah, that brought the heat.
It really did.